amount of stuff. So moving on now. So we're ready to establish the actual definition of a chemical equilibrium expression. And so first I will establish the mathematical definition of a chemical reaction, which goes as the following. And I'm just using consistent nomenclature from the book. So this is the mathematical definition of a chemical reaction. Okay? So J, that's chemical species J. Okay? So that's chemical identity. This is the stoichiometric coefficient that you use to balance the reaction. And the sum of all of these should equal 0. So that's saying the reaction has to be balanced. So for example, if I have a reaction that says 2A plus B goes to 3C plus D, then first I have to establish all of my stoichiometric coefficients. So nu A equals -2. So we put a negative sign for reactants. Okay? Technically, mu B is -1, mu C is +3, and mu D is +1. Okay? So now if I put that together, that's going to say 0 equals -2A minus B plus 3C plus D. And if I rearrange this, you can see it's going to be 2A plus B equals 3C plus D. So that's how we establish a mathematical definition of a chemical reaction. Fantastic. Okay? So then now, what we recognize then, based on that last thing that we just developed, we see that the reaction quotient Q, so in that simple equilibrium expression, we established that Q should be the activity of B over the activity of A. So I can use that to establish a mathematical description of an equilibrium expression, okay? Which goes as the following. The reaction quotient Q equals big capital pi, okay, sub J. So if this is the Greek letter sigma, which equals a sum, this is the Greek letter pi, capital Pi, which equals product. I'm not sure if you knew that or not. Sigma gives us the summation. Capital Pi is a symbol for product. Okay? And so our Q becomes A, the activity of species J, raised to its stoichiometric coefficient. Okay? For initial activities, okay, so I'm going to say AJI, or we know that K equals big capital Pi, AJ, and I'll say equilibrium raised to the mu J power. This is actually the law of mass action. Law of mass action. This is actually it. That's how you establish the equilibrium expressions. Okay? So let's write all of that down now. Okay? So if I'm doing this, let's write it for, so it works either way for Q or K. It just depends on if you're talking about your initial activities or your equilibrium activities. So I'll just write this down for K. And here's how this product works. And we'll use the same example up here. Okay? So that's going to be the activity of species A raised to its stoichiometric coefficient raised to the -2 power. And now it's not a sum, rather it's a product. So times the activity of B raised to its stoichiometric coefficient times the activity of C raised to its stoichiometric coefficient, which is just +3 now, times the activity of D. And of course, that's going to be raised to the power of 1. All right, great. So now if I simplify that expression, we know it's going to be the activity of C cubed times the activity of D raised to the first power divided by the activity of A squared divided by the activity of B. And wonderful, that's what you would have come up with, hopefully, in Chem 109. Of course, in Chem 109, we would have established this really as the partial pressure of C cubed times the partial pressure of D to the first power times the partial pressure of A squared times the partial pressure of B to the first power. That's how you would have come up with this in Gen Chem, okay? Which is mostly correct. But hopefully, if you recall from the last exercise, right, where we talked about ionic activity in particular, using concentrations as opposed to activities is only approximate. So we actually have to use activity as the most correct form here, okay? And so now, just to kind of go through like one example here, let's say N2 gas. So an old familiar gas here, the Haber-Bosch reaction to make ammonia to NH3 gas, okay? And so we know that K would be the activity of ammonia squared divided by the activity of nitrogen times the activity of hydrogen cubed. And if I want to be really, really correct and precise on this thing, then I can write it as the following. I can say that's the partial pressure of ammonia divided by standard pressure, all squared, divided by the partial pressure of nitrogen divided by the standard pressure times the partial pressure of hydrogen divided by the standard pressure, all cubed. And when I do that, that's how I arrive at your good old-fashioned Gen Chem equilibrium expression that you would have just said is based off of the partial pressures, okay? But now I'm going to have, look, 1 over P naught squared divided by 1 over P times 1 over P naught cubed, okay? And so when I do all of that, okay, so that gives me a, can I come up with this? So I'm going to have times 1 over P squared times 1 over P naught times 1 over P naught cubed, okay? And all of this, so that becomes 1 over P squared divided by 1 over P to the 4th power, which actually just equals P squared. Okay, so do the algebra to prove it. So what about the units now? Well, this is going to be partial pressure of ammonia squared gives me a bar squared divided by pressure of nitrogen gives me 1 bar times the pressure of hydrogen cubed is a bar cubed. But now look, all of that, the standard 1 bar pressure, that all became a bar squared. And let's inspect this for 1 minute. I've got a bar squared times a bar squared, that's bar to the 4th power, divided by bar to the 4th power. So this is why equilibrium expressions are actually unitless. Maybe that bugged the heck out of you in Chem 109. We told you, oh, they're just unitless. But like if you use this chunk, you can see that's clearly not going to be unitless. But because because equilibrium is technically based off of activity, it does become unitless, okay? And so, of course, we could also do this. What's coming up next? We could also, so I just did this for partial pressures. So technically that would make this KP, if you remember. Well, there's all sorts of various equilibrium expressions, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going through those, but I'll just give you one example. So KC, if we were doing this in terms of the molarities, all right, then we could write the law of mass action as the following. The product of all species J, which is going to be times the activity of J raised to the new J power. Well, I now know that I can write activity in terms of partial pressures, but I could also write activity in terms of concentrations. And so that goes as the following. Pi J times the molarity of J as expressed in a bracket divided by C standard, all raised to the stoichiometric coefficient, where C standard is exactly 1 mole per liter. So then, in other words, I can still write this Kc as, write the concentration of ammonia in moles per liter squared, divided by the concentration of nitrogen, divided by the concentration of hydrogen, all cubed. But what we also recognize in the same way, there's also going to be times this other factor, this C standard concentration, all squared. And that's not going to change the numbers at all because that's just 1 mole per liter, but it does establish the unitless equilibrium concentration in terms of concentrations, okay? So we could spend like a whole day going through various examples, but again, I just want to kind of establish what's important, okay?